Hello and welcome to Love Past Memorials. I was shocked after 38 years of marriage. My wife and I have been having an incredible sexy time together these last couple of years. Married for 33 years and together for 38 years, it has been a sort of vanilla lifestyle over all these years till our kid turned 18. But then, in the last year or so, we have spiced things up big time and have been having fun at strip clubs, gone to some swinger clubs, and had incredible fun, even hired a sex worker for our first FFM threesome, and both of us had a great time. Things we never thought we would even think about, let alone be doing them. My wife has been going above and beyond in dressing incredibly sexier, upping her skills in the bedroom, and just overall making our time lately on date nights incredible, sexy, and fun. But on a recent return trip of sexy fun in Vegas, I learned some shocking news. That has had my gut churning and not sure what to do or how to stop the nightmares I keep having over and over about it. Do I just try to pretend she never told me and keep up our fun? Or ask her again to please tell me the truth and not pretend she doesn't remember? Or gather my things and throw away 38 years, short story dated since high school for 5 years, married 33 years, total 38 years together. Just found out wife cheated with 30 to 40 different men during the first 5 years we dated, says she regrets it but cannot change it. Said she did it because she was lonely or because we were fighting or broken up for the day. Says she has been faithful since we married. How do I know that or trust that? But now, when I questioned, says she can't remember anything of who they were or how, swears. No memories, all of a sudden I'm hurting and depressed, can't sleep wondering who they were. How did I not know? Or see the signs? And how can she claim she doesn't remember? Do I forgive and try to get it out of my mind and keep 38 years going? Just not sure how to forget, or cut my loss and move out and be single. Detailed long story. It's a long read. Probably mistakes, as I'm just rambling and throwing out thoughts. But I have to try and get my heart back in the right place after a talk with my wife of 33 years, and some things that did not add up. My mind just keeps going back to some things said, and it rolls through my mind. Every night I have tried to just put it off and think of other things. Yet I just keep coming back to this nightly. I am putting this down on paper. I'm trying to get the questions out of my head so I quit mulling over them daily. And most at night. But it's not working. I have attempted to just hold her every night to put my head in a good space, praying I go to sleep with great thoughts of holding her and that this did not happen, but then here it comes full on. Every night I want to put closure to it. And right now, I lay there rolling this over and over and over of how she fucked so many other men during our 5 dating years before we married. But now, after hearing of so many more she fucked, it's consuming me, eating me up, needing to know answers. On a recent trip, I asked my wife how many men she was with before me while killing time on the airplane ride. I asked her a number and she did not answer. Just sat there looking into space. So I said, "Are we talking 30? Jokingly. Thinking honestly to myself she may have been with maybe 4 or 5 guys tops before me. I figured she would roll her eyes and give me a dirty look and correct me, and say I was crazy and say no way, and that she had only been with 4 or 5 guys before me. Yet she remained quiet as she looked down. Then I said, 30, 50, wildly and sarcastically. Never on my mind would believe that many before me and she looked up at me with a sad look and said probably. And I was like to myself, wow. I made myself say I'm okay with that and put little thought into it after that, just assuming those crazy numbers again were before we got together. I never put the numbers together of her only having sex for a year, maybe a year and a half before me. We started dating at 17, and now she agreeing to fuck in 30, 50 men in that short time, Then on the drive home from the airport, the same weekend, she said she wanted me to know she has never been with any other men since we were married, and I did not pick up on that little hint or tip since for about 5 months. And then she said it again about being with no other men since we were married on our last trip in February, and then it hit me. We dated 5 years before we got married. Does this mean she had been with guys other than me during those 5 years? No way. Then when I pressured her to open up and talk, she tried to backpedal and say that was a way high number now, that she was off, and probably it was 30 or less. So let's say it was 30 or possibly 40, not up to 50. Generally, a person's first response is the most accurate and honest answer, because they don't have time to try and downplay the severity of their answer, or have time to sugarcoat and make it seem less hurtful for the other person. So she broke it down and said she probably slept with 8-10 guys before we got together and dated, when she was age 16, 17 years old, and that would be her total before we dated. I knew about her first at around late 15 to 16, and about dating another guy after she said she cheated on her first many times, and that was where I agreed with her. 8 to 10 men before us was probably accurate, and I'm truly okay with that because it was before I even knew she existed, and it doesn't count. I know she cheated on her first, and I guess I should have known she would cheat on me too. I just never would have thought 5 years worth of cheating. And only stopping because of our marriage, supposedly. But we dated from age 17 to when we married at age 22 in 1991. That makes about 80–85% of the men she was with after her original 8-10 before we met. 20 or possibly 30 or more remaining men she slept with during our 5 years of dating. So in those 5 years of us together, she slept with the biggest majority of men, and that's where I got so shocked and hurt. I never in a million years thought she had slept with one person, let alone so many other men, why we dated, or in the few hours or days we were not together. And that was truly correct when I look back at the few days out of 5 years. Out of 1825 days in 5 years, we were probably only apart 10 days of being supposed to break up or fight as young couples do. That many men on such few days apart is astonishing. How had I not even suspected that she had slept so many while we dated? When she slept with others during the 5 years of dating before marriage, was it always with different men? How did she meet them? Already knew them. Just walk up and ask a stranger to sleep? As far as a club, she was not old enough till the last year, 1991, when we married. So how did she find so many to be so easy? Were they younger, older? Did she bring them to our house when I worked out of town close to Mexico for a few months, or when I worked the night shift at the courthouse at nights before we married, all to save money to buy our first house? Did she do this when we fought for a night, but still in the same house every night? Together? Because there are too many men versus just if she only fucked if we were broke up. Yes, we were young and immature. It's not like we broke up for months at a time, but as any new couple, fights happen and little mad breakups happen. I only remember a couple that were more than 2 or 3 days of mainly fighting more than broke up. I mean, we moved in together just after high school and spent all our nights together. The amount guys in so few broke up days is astonishing. I was not perfect. I had hobbies I did, or go out with the guys, but I always remained faithful and never once thought to cheat or look at other women. Did she do it also for the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of someone new, and just for the fun? Even when we were doing good and not fighting? Was it more for wanting the new dick-craving experience than the excuse of so-called fighting or breaking up? No way she was looking for love or affection in a one-night fuck. It had to be just because she was horny or just wanting to fuck. No way she can say it was because of being broken up or just because I was not paying her enough attention. Which, in fairness, I did do hobbies that took time, and I guess maybe I did not give her enough attention. But is that fair enough to go fuck other men? Were any men from our current town, any I knew, She said 3 was from her hometown when she went to her dad's, but that was so few times as she was fighting with him. So why did she say from there? Were they just randoms off the street? Or did she know them from prior years and just called them up to fuck? And she said the rest were from my hometown, approx by doing quick math with numbers. She proved that could be 1530 guys. She is good with numbers. She should see where I'm going. 8-10 before me, 3 in her hometown. She said after we started dating 17, from my hometown, while we dated if she is on the low side of 30 and possibly 10 more, if we split her original number of 30-50 and average if at 40. I believe her first agreement on numbers closer to the 50 mark. Not her numbers when she is downplaying it now. Obviously, no matter how we count the numbers, she fucked 3 times more. Men, way more men. Why we dated than before we got together, and I consider it cheating regardless if we're fighting or so-called broke up for the night. She says she does not remember the guys. She can't say she don't remember now or it was not important. Physical intimacy is important and personal. No way she doesn't remember. If I said I slept with 30-50 women, I guarantee I would remember 99% of them, and when and where I did. Is it fair for me to ask who were the men? She never forgets things or names now, but conveniently, now says she doesn't remember any of these 40-50 guys. Again, this does not change my love for her. It does not change the past or the future. Or maybe it will. I'm just trying to understand how it happened so many times why we dated. I mean, I know we fought. But not to that point. We stayed apart at night. We lived together, and I always came home. How did I not know? The only time I remember was during the months that we lived in my hometown, and we broke up and were apart for a few days here and there. And that was when I thought, maybe that was when she did it. Then there were a few weeks, or maybe a month, while I was in our current town and found us an apartment and was waiting for her to move. Even then, I came to my hometown every weekend to work at a local store. After I gave notice I was quitting and to see her. Hell, I stayed with her. My stuff stayed there at our apartment. I guess that whole month she had plenty of time to sleep with others and a place to do it while I was in our current town getting us set up to move to a new apartment. I then told her I was not hurt because we were supposedly fighting or broken up. I lied. Yes, I'm hurting bad inside. Real bad because of the number of guys and sleeping with them during our 5 years. That was no way all while we were broke up. And I can't shake it or get over it without her talking and explaining things to me, so I can get it out of my head and move on to better thoughts. She say she regrets telling or saying anything to me. Do you think the reason for that is because now I'm asking so many questions? Or is it because now I'm thinking about every trip she made out of town, what she did, or now every time she goes out of town, I'm thinking about, in more detail, what she is doing? How did she hide the truth for so long and not feel bad? She was not honest for 35 years and had no regret. Why regret being honest with me now? Again, I love her with all my heart. I just need the truth. Don't want her to try to sugarcoat to save my feelings. They are already hurt, about as bad as they can be. Want her to be honest now and try to help me understand and get my mind back into a good place. As I guess I hurt her by not giving her the attention she needed, so she went looking just shocked at how many guys during our dating and the curiosity of how and whom it was eating at me and driving me insane. So now I'm just incredibly curious who all got her attention, who won her over enough to fuck. My hometown is small. She said the majority of the 30-plus were from my hometown, maybe up to 50. I knew almost everyone. So, who did she sleep with? Were all these different guys just one-night stands? Did she only sleep with them one time and move on? Or were some good enough that she had to go back and sleep with them again or multiple times? Are they my so-called good friends? If she were to sneak around behind my back and do this now, then yes, it would be super hurtful and horrible pain and probably tough to recover from emotionally and be so much easier to leave her. Wonder now if that's why she pushed so hard to get married at 5 years old, because she thought that was the only way she could stop enjoying the chase and excitement of sleeping with other men. I know she had a bad childhood and issues while early dating. I hate knowing she went through that and feels her pain, but she just can't say she doesn't remember all these guys now. That's just not something a woman with a brain and memory like her that can remember things so minuscule down to the day. The time and what she wore that day, what the weather was, and if it was a full moon or not. She doesn't forget things, period. But now, zero memory. She knows if the roles were reversed, and I said I had slept with just one woman, let alone possibly 18, 20, maybe as high as 40 while we dated over 5 years and during supposed fights. Or I felt lonely, that her curiosity would be on overload and her mind would be racing. Why? How did I pull it off so many times without her knowing that many times and for sure, with? Was it her girlfriends? It bothered her for years, just knowing I had dated 2 girls before her, and she asked many times if I slept with them. I told her no, and from day one, I told her I was a virgin and had only kissed and touched the other 2 girls. We were super jealous of each other in the early years, the total opposite of now. With all the things we have been playing with the last 2 years, I was being totally honest that she was my first, she would not settle with me. I did not keep track or remember who they were and just let it go. She would be just like me or worse, asking who or names. It's been months and it's eating me up not know more about or the truth. Please help me figure out what to do. I hope to just sit down and get it all out in one sitting and close this horrible, ongoing nightmare I keep having. The sheer volume of men she slept with in the 5 years far out exceeds the times we supposedly broke up. Most of the bad stuff was in the first 1-2 years. After that, I don't remember bad things, especially when we moved to our current hometown. Yet that, according to her, was when she slept with the most on trips away from our current hometown. She said she chased me so hard in the early days to get me. So why was it so easy to sleep with someone else's so quick if she wanted me so bad? I felt lonely for 16, 17 years during my child's growth years and may have thought about cheating. Never could even come close to doing it, only played it through in my head and could never have reason enough to follow. Through never once in all my life did I drive down the road and holler to some stranger, hey, you want to sleep with me? She says she had not been with anyone since we married, but she hid it so well, dating and living together. How do I know that is the truth? She went on many more trips after married by herself, supposed conferences, work trips for days, more to her dad's, many to my hometown. Many trips for supposedly working for one of her jobs. I even confronted her about a dream I had on the phone that he was out of town, and she laughed and said no. She timed me a few times, all dressed up and makeup late at night, saying she has been in the room a few hours fixing to be going to bed, and she's all dressed. Yet she can't make it indoor at home for 2 minutes and clothes off and makeup off. I bet she was going out even then. Do you see now why my mind is overloaded thinking about all her trips now? That we're out of town for any length of time, I now feel that she was sleeping around. It was just too convenient. She had so many opportunities for her to cheat after marriage. It's just hard to believe that that little piece of paper that said you're married would completely change her mind to not cheat from all the previous times. And now I've been spending hours and hours rolling through my mind every trip I could remember her being out of town for any length of time. Sometimes just for the day to my hometown, or sometimes 3 or 4 days or 5 days out of state on supposed business. And now my mind is just blowing up thinking of what she did with all that time when it was so easy to find one, to sleep with another while away from home. Like I said, there are times that we FaceTime and I asked jokingly what she was wearing and it was still late and she was still dressed hot, so you can't blame me for wondering now that she had plenty of time to go out and hook up. So now I wonder if I need to add another 30, 50 men while we have been married with all the easier times she has been gone and time to sleep with others. Again, I'm sorry about all this. I want to trust her so much and believe this has not happened in our 33 to 34-something years of marriage. But then I knew she would have the same thoughts creeping into her head if I told her what she told me, if roles were reversed. She would be thinking back of every single time I was out of town or did anything. If I was hooking up at those times since I did so easily before, I just don't know how to get these thoughts out of my mind. I wonder about our early years of marriage when I was out there working. Was she lonely, and did she go out and sleep with other guys? There were times when my kid was born, and I know she was super busy then, and did not have the time to do anything, so I have nothing to worry about since my kid was born. But my mind wanders the years before her when she was lonely, and I know we did not break up any time, but if she were lonely, then that piece of paper meant nothing. So wondering if she was sleeping around in the early 15 years of marriage. That's the question. There could be way more men. Why would that piece of paper make a difference now? There is so much evil going through my head, and sadly, it overpowers all of the great days and times that we've had over all these years, but the thoughts of what she did, those 5 years and maybe even up to late time, overpowers everything. I just have to find a way to get it out of my head. Is it fair for me to ask her for all the names? Why? How many different men? Was it closer to 50 or more? Did she sleep with another after we married? But don't want to admit it. I feel she did now, and trying to spare my feelings. I replay every trip for years and wonder how many the days. She has had 33 years to process this, and I just got the news. Do I give her one more chance to come clean on who, why, and where? Do I have the right to know these answers? Sorry for rambling, and the story is all over the place and in no real order. I'm pecking this out on my phone. I'm just shocked, hurt, and it's eating me alive. Dear listeners, please write your thought in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching.